Meet Eleanor, a vibrant 72-year-old who cherishes her independence and loves her cozy little home. But lately, she's been feeling a pinch in her finances. Despite her best efforts, her savings seem to stretch thinner each month. Sound familiar? Like many seniors living alone, Eleanor faces challenges she hadn't anticipated, from sneaky expenses to unexpected costs. But here's the good news. Eleanor's journey taught her how to uncover and cut out money drains, and you can too. Let's start this transformative journey together. 1. Eleanor had always loved watching her favorite TV shows and trying out new apps. But over time, she lost track of what she was paying for. One afternoon, as she reviewed her bank statement, she noticed charges for services she hadn't used in months: an old magazine subscription, a streaming platform she'd forgotten about, and even a fitness app. These small amounts, when added up, were quietly draining her finances. If you're in the same boat, don't worry. The first step is to gather your bank and credit card statements, either in print or online. Look through each line carefully and highlight any subscriptions or services you don't use anymore. Once you've identified them, cancel the subscriptions directly through the company or your app store. Many services also offer customer support if you're unsure how to cancel. Consider using tools like subscription tracking apps that can identify recurring charges and even help you cancel them. And remember, if you're not using it, you're not saving money by keeping it just in case. Eleanor felt an immediate sense of relief when she canceled several unused services. She was surprised at how much money she saved, which she could now put towards something she truly valued, like a weekend outing with friends. It's a small step that makes a big difference, and it's easier than you think. 2. Eleanor dreaded her utility bills. Despite living alone, her heating and electricity costs seemed much higher than they should be. She often left lights on in empty rooms, kept her thermostat too high in the winter, and ran her washer and dryer more frequently than necessary. If this sounds familiar, there are simple changes you can make to reduce your bills. Start by turning off lights when you leave a room and unplugging devices that aren't in use. They can still draw power even when turned off. Lower your thermostat a couple of degrees in the winter and use blankets or warm clothing to stay comfortable. If you haven't already, consider switching to energy-efficient light bulbs, which use far less electricity and last much longer than traditional ones. Another great tip is to wash clothes in cold water and hang them to dry when possible. These small adjustments not only save money, but also make a big impact on your energy usage over time. Eleanor began to feel more in control of her expenses after making these changes. Her bills went down noticeably, and she felt a renewed sense of independence. She realized that living comfortably didn't have to mean wasting money. 3. One rainy afternoon, Eleanor found herself browsing online stores for home decor. She didn't need anything, but scrolling through colorful throw pillows and cozy blankets was oddly comforting. Before she knew it, she'd placed an order for items she didn't even have space for. When they arrived, the excitement quickly faded, and she regretted spending the money. Online shopping can be tempting, especially when you're feeling bored or lonely. But there are ways to curb the habit. First, try the 24-hour rule. If you see something you want, wait a full day before deciding to buy it. Often, you'll realize you don't need it after all. Another strategy is to limit your browsing time or avoid websites that encourage impulse buying. If you enjoy the convenience of online shopping, make a list of what you need before you start browsing and stick to it. You can also set a monthly budget for discretionary spending and track your purchases to stay accountable. Eleanor began practicing these habits and noticed how much easier it was to resist the urge to buy unnecessary things. Instead of spending money on items that cluttered her home, she started saving for experiences that brought her real joy, like a day trip to the local botanical gardens. Cutting back on impulse shopping isn't about denying yourself. It's about prioritizing what truly matters. Eleanor's newfound savings inspired her to look at other areas where she could reduce costs, setting the stage for tackling the next set of financial challenges. 4. Eleanor had always trusted her local pharmacy for her prescriptions, but one day, her friend mentioned that she might be overpaying for her medications. Intrigued, Eleanor began comparing prices at different pharmacies, both in-store and online. To her surprise, she found that the same medication varied significantly in cost depending on where she shopped. It was a wake-up call. Why spend more when she didn't have to? If you're in a similar situation, start by checking prices at multiple pharmacies, including big retailers, local stores, and online options. Many websites and apps allow you to compare prices or find discounts with just a few clicks. Additionally, ask your pharmacist about generic versions of your medications, which can be just as effective but far less expensive. Another tip is to look into prescription savings programs or discount cards. Some pharmacies and organizations offer these for free, and they can significantly reduce your costs. For those on Medicare, make sure to review your plan annually to ensure you're getting the best coverage for your needs. Eleanor felt a sense of accomplishment when she saved hundreds of dollars on her prescriptions in just a few months. The extra money allowed her to splurge on a treat for herself, something she hadn't done in ages. Taking charge of her medication costs gave her both peace of mind and a renewed sense of control over her finances. 5. Eleanor loved dining out. She cherished the experience of enjoying a meal she didn't have to cook, especially at her favorite local cafe. But over time, she noticed how frequently she was eating out, and when she added up the costs, she was shocked. It wasn't just the food. It was the tips, the drinks, and the occasional dessert that made her expenses skyrocket. Cutting back didn't mean giving up on her love for good food. Eleanor started meal prepping at home, creating simple, nutritious dishes she could easily reheat. She found joy in experimenting with new recipes and even invited friends over for potluck-style dinners, where everyone contributed a dish. If you're trying to reduce dining out costs, plan your meals for the week and create a shopping list to avoid unnecessary purchases at the grocery store. Focus on easy-to-make meals and consider batch cooking so you'll always have something ready to eat. When you do eat out, set a limit, like only dining out once a week or opting for lunch instead of dinner, which is often cheaper. Eleanor discovered that cooking at home not only saved her money, but also became a fun, creative outlet. She still treated herself to her favorite cafe occasionally, but now it felt like a special treat rather than a routine expense. 6. Eleanor had signed up for a gym membership years ago with the best intentions of staying fit, but life got busy and she rarely went. Still, the monthly fee was deducted from her account like clockwork. When she finally did the math, she realized she had spent hundreds of dollars over the years for a service she barely used. She decided to cancel her membership and explore other ways to stay active. She joined a local walking group, which was not only free, but also a great way to meet new people. On rainy days, she followed gentle workout videos online, many of which were specifically designed for seniors. If you're paying for a gym membership you rarely use, consider whether it's truly worth the cost. Many communities offer free or low-cost fitness classes for seniors, and outdoor activities like walking or gardening can be just as effective as a structured workout. If you prefer guided exercise, check out online classes or DVDs tailored to your fitness level. Eleanor found that staying active didn't have to cost a fortune. She felt healthier and more energized, and she loved the sense of community she found in her walking group. It was a reminder that fitness is about consistency, not expensive memberships or fancy equipment. Eleanor's success in these areas encouraged her to keep looking for ways to simplify her spending without sacrificing the things she enjoyed. She was excited to tackle her next set of challenges with newfound confidence. 7. Eleanor had always been proud of maintaining her home, but she often delayed small repairs, thinking they weren't urgent. One day, a tiny leak under her sink became a full-blown plumbing issue, costing her far more than if she had addressed it sooner. This experience taught her the importance of staying on top of maintenance before minor issues spiraled out of control. If you've been putting off home repairs, start by creating a checklist of tasks that need attention. Walk through each room and note anything that requires fixing: leaky faucets, peeling paint, or creaky doors. Set aside a small monthly budget specifically for these repairs so that you're prepared when the time comes. For tasks that feel overwhelming, consider hiring a handyman or asking for help from a family member or neighbor. Taking care of your home doesn't have to be stressful. Eleanor realized that by addressing small repairs promptly, she could avoid bigger, more expensive problems. It gave her peace of mind, knowing her home was in good shape and safe, which made her feel more secure living alone. 8. Eleanor noticed she was paying for services she didn't really need, like regular landscaping for her small yard, which she could handle herself with a bit of effort. She also realized she was subscribing to a premium home cleaning service, even though she spent time cleaning every week. These unnecessary expenses were adding up, and she hadn't even noticed until she took a closer look at her budget. If you're in a similar situation, start by reviewing the services you're paying for. Ask yourself if they're truly necessary or if there are ways to reduce costs. For example, instead of weekly professional cleaning, consider hiring someone monthly for deep cleaning while managing basic upkeep yourself. If you have a small yard, look into low-maintenance landscaping options or do the simpler tasks on your own. Eleanor discovered that scaling back on services didn't just save her money, it gave her a sense of accomplishment. She enjoyed the physical activity of gardening and the satisfaction of knowing she was capable of handling more on her own. Reducing these expenses reminded her of her independence and resourcefulness. 9. Eleanor had never thought about negotiating her bills until she overheard a friend mention how they got a better deal on their cable package just by asking. Intrigued, she decided to try it herself. After a quick call to her provider, she was surprised to learn she could lower her monthly rate simply by discussing her options. If you've never tried negotiating bills, it's worth a shot. Start with services like cable, internet, or even insurance. Call your providers and ask if there are discounts, promotions, or loyalty rewards available. Mention competitors' rates or explain your budget constraints. Many companies are willing to work with you to retain your business. For insurance, consider shopping around and comparing rates to ensure you're getting the best deal. Eleanor felt empowered after reducing her monthly expenses with just a few phone calls. It showed her that small steps could lead to big savings and made her more confident about advocating for herself. She realized that taking control of her finances didn't have to be intimidating. It could even be rewarding. 10. Eleanor loved spoiling her grandchildren. Birthdays, holidays, or even random visits always meant gifts, and while it made her happy, it started to take a toll on her budget. She realized she was spending more than she could afford on toys, clothes, and gadgets. It wasn't sustainable, but she didn't want to disappoint her family. If you find yourself in a similar situation, consider shifting your approach to gifting. Instead of buying expensive presents, focus on thoughtful, meaningful alternatives. Homemade items like baked goods, photo albums, or handwritten letters can be just as special, if not more so. You can also gift your time. Taking your grandkids to the park or baking cookies together creates lasting memories without straining your wallet. Eleanor found that her family appreciated the thoughtfulness behind her simpler gifts. Her grandchildren loved spending time with her, and she felt less financial pressure without sacrificing the joy of giving. By rethinking gifting, she discovered a way to stay connected without overspending. 11. Eleanor cherished family gatherings, but hosting them often became an expensive affair. Between buying food, decorations, and other supplies, the costs added up quickly. She loved bringing everyone together, but felt overwhelmed by how much money she was spending to make it happen. If you're in this situation, consider switching to potluck-style gatherings where everyone contributes a dish. This not only reduces your expenses, but also creates a shared sense of responsibility and community. You can also simplify decorations by using what you already have, or opting for DIY options. Hosting during non-meal times, like mid-afternoon for tea and snacks, can also help lower costs while still bringing loved ones together. Eleanor discovered that her family didn't mind pitching in to help. In fact, they enjoyed sharing their own dishes and stories. Hosting became less stressful, and she could focus on enjoying the company of her loved ones rather than worrying about the financial burden. 12. Eleanor sometimes found herself shopping when she felt lonely. She would head to the mall or browse online stores, thinking a new item might brighten her day. While it worked in the moment, the purchases often left her feeling guilty when she saw the impact on her budget. If emotional spending is something you struggle with, try finding alternative ways to boost your mood. Engaging in hobbies like knitting, painting, or gardening can provide a creative outlet and keep your mind occupied. Volunteering at a local charity or joining a club can also help combat loneliness while connecting you with others. Eleanor joined a local book club, which quickly became a highlight of her week. She realized that what she truly needed was connection, not material things. Finding new ways to stay engaged helped her save money and feel more fulfilled, proving that the most valuable things in life aren't bought, they're experienced. 13. Eleanor's shift in perspective not only improved her finances, but also enriched her life. By focusing on meaningful connections and thoughtful spending, she felt more in control and excited to continue her journey toward financial freedom and emotional well-being. Eleanor had always been independent and enjoyed her quiet time at home, but she occasionally found herself spending money on things she thought would make life easier or more enjoyable. She bought gadgets that promised convenience, but often ended up unused in a drawer. After seeing how quickly these small purchases added up, she decided it was time to change her approach. If you've fallen into a similar habit, start by carefully evaluating each potential purchase. Ask yourself if it's something you truly need, or if there's a simpler, less expensive alternative. A helpful tip is to wait a week before buying non-essential items. Often, the initial excitement fades, and you realize the purchase isn't necessary after all. Eleanor also found value in borrowing or renting items for occasional use, rather than buying them outright. She began sharing tools and appliances with her neighbors, which not only saved money, but also strengthened her sense of community. By focusing on what she truly needed, Eleanor found she could still enjoy her independence without unnecessary spending. 14. Eleanor was proud of her careful planning, but she realized she hadn't reviewed her insurance policies in years. When she finally took the time to compare quotes, she discovered she was overpaying for her home and car insurance. The idea of switching providers had seemed overwhelming, but she decided to tackle it one step at a time. If it's been a while since you've reviewed your insurance, now is a good time to do so. Start by gathering your current policy details and getting quotes from at least 3 providers. Look for discounts you may qualify for, such as Safe Driver or senior discounts. Don't hesitate to ask your current provider to match a competitor's rate. Many companies are willing to work with loyal customers to keep their business. Eleanor was thrilled when she found a new plan that offered better coverage at a lower price. It was a reminder that taking a little time to shop around could lead to significant savings. She felt more confident knowing her policies were up to date and aligned with her needs, giving her peace of mind moving forward. 15. Eleanor occasionally felt overwhelmed when thinking about her finances. She had a general idea of her monthly expenses, but she didn't have a clear budget to track her spending. After a particularly stressful month, she decided to create a simple plan to regain control. If managing your finances feels daunting, start with a basic budget. Write down your fixed expenses, such as housing, utilities, and insurance, and then estimate your variable expenses, like groceries and entertainment. Allocate a portion of your income to savings, even if it's just a small amount each month. To make budgeting easier, consider using a notebook, spreadsheet, or a budgeting app designed for seniors. These tools can help you track your expenses and identify areas where you can cut back. Eleanor found that reviewing her spending weekly kept her accountable and gave her a better sense of where her money was going. Eleanor felt a huge sense of relief after setting up her budget. She realized that managing her finances didn't have to be complicated or overwhelming. With her plan in place, she felt empowered to make informed decisions and focus on the things that truly brought her joy. Eleanor's journey taught her that small, consistent changes could lead to significant improvements in her financial well-being. By prioritizing her needs, staying proactive, and finding creative solutions, she not only saved money, but also gained a renewed sense of confidence and independence. Her story is a testament to the power of taking control, one step at a time, and she knew her journey would inspire others to do the same. Eleanor's journey shows that with small, thoughtful changes, living independently can be both financially secure and fulfilling. She transformed her habits, gained confidence, and found joy in simplicity. Now it's your turn. Review your expenses, take control, and embrace a brighter, more empowered future. Start your journey today.